Hello everyone, my name is Mandy Frost and I am an academic life coach to teenagers and young adults and a life coach to parents. And today what I'd like to speak to you about is how you can use coaching tools to connect with your teens. But before I begin this presentation, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. We're a farming family from Zimbabwe, and we've been living in the United States for just over 7 years. I homeschooled my 3 sons all the way through high school, and they all got into the colleges that they wanted to get into without any problems. They also all went on a gap year program. I'm a firm believer in gap years. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to prepare our teens for the next step. Here's some pictures of my family. My husband is a soil scientist, so he's in the agriculture department. 2 of our sons have their own online businesses. And as I said earlier, I am an academic life coach to teenagers and high school students, as well as young adults, and a life coach to parents. I am also a career coach, and I am certified with the ICF, which is an international coach federation that sets the standards for coaching internationally. And so I need to adhere by their very high standards. And so let's get to the presentation. What I want to do today is give you some practical ideas that you can try at home, new ways of how you can speak into the lives of your teenagers so you can build relationships, build their confidence, and prepare them for adulthood and the responsibilities in the real world. But first, let me give you my definition of coaching as I see coaching with students. Coaching is self-discovery and uses tools to help students identify possibilities, navigate through setbacks, and design actions that will get students to where they want to go. And so really coaching is about helping students with self-discovery. And I use a lot of coaching tools that help them figure out, what's holding them back. What are the mindsets that they are struggling with? How do they cope when they're not motivated? How do they get more organized? And so it just helps them to see what's holding them back and setting goals and how they can move forward. So coaching is really about moving forward, getting them from where they are to where they want to go. And when they know more about who they are, when the who becomes clearer, they can then have a better idea of where they want to go and what they want to do in their future. So coaching is really about learning and self-improvement. Understanding parents connect and draw out potential. Okay, and I want to show you how you can use coaching to become more understanding and connect with your kids so that they realize their possibilities, so that you can draw out their potential, that they can feel more encouraged, and at the same time you're improving their relationships and connection with them. And so the 2 coaching tools I want to show you that you can use at home, I actually use these tools with my students as well. These tools are, brainstorming, and I want to show you the wheel of life. Tools will offer parents some ideas and techniques and approaches that'll give you more insight on how you can communicate in more meaningful ways. And so let's start with brainstorming. This is one of the most simple tools, yet the most powerful tools. And as parents, we just forget to use brainstorming. We're just so busy planning their lives and, fixing problems, and we just forget that this is an option. And so I hope that this will kind of give you some aha moments, because it really is that simple, but yet that powerful. And it's really about sharing ideas, finding solutions together, generating ideas together. And it helps them to take ownership of their lives because they are participating in solutions with you. Just an example, I had a parent come to me a while back and she was saying, how do I get my 13-year-old to be more motivated with schoolwork? She didn't want to work, she was demotivated, she didn't want to, do anything, and she just kind of like was losing interest. And so I said, hey, why don't you try brainstorming? Sit down with her and just get some ideas of what activity she wants to do and what she wants her semester to look like, and just kind of see what she comes up with. And she said it was so powerful. It was just amazing how she just, got involved again, and she had these amazing ideas and their relationship improved. And it was just something so simple that she tried that was really very successful. And so you want to think, well, how does this work? Thinking about other ideas, you could use brainstorming for perhaps any problem that you're experiencing in your home. And the example that I can think of is social media. So perhaps you're feeling frustrated because everyone's on their gadgets and they're just on their computers all the time, and you don't have enough time spent as a family. No one seems to be abiding by any sort of rules, and you just haven't been consistent in that area, and you're kind of frustrated. And this could be a good opportunity to bring your teens together and say, you know what, we really need to start making, being more consistent with our rules, how we want that to look. Let's get together and think up some ideas and some solutions of how we can also spend more time as a family. Because when you're spending a lot of time on your gadgets, I'm feeling agitated because we're not connecting. And so let's sit down together and generate some ideas. And it'll be amazing how you can, how this, they do have wonderful ideas too. And so the way I would do this, I would say, is have a notebook and just like write down everyone's ideas, and then sort of decide how you're going to go forward with that. And then when you do come to conclusions, there's going to be a lot less resistance. They're going to be more willing to participate, in maybe some new rules that you've set, because they've contributed as well. They've shared their ideas, and you've acknowledged them. And that's the difference. It's the whole attitude behind it, that they've had some kind of say and they're able to open up to you and tell you how they think and how they feel. And so it's just a great, great simple tool that you could perhaps start trying, and maybe you can think of some ideas right now as you're listening to this. The second tool is called, I use this with my students, it's called the Wheel of Life. And it's really what you do is you draw a circle with 8 wedges on the various life areas, where you rate each area out of 10. And that's your area, that's your rating of satisfaction. Like, how satisfied am I in this area out of 10? Well, actually, it's going pretty well. I'm going to give it an 8. That's kind of what it looks like. Now, this wheel is more in line with mom and dad's wheel, because you've got career, money. Your teenager's wheel would look a little different depending on the areas of responsibility. And so what this does, it kind of gives them a snapshot of the different life areas. It shows them what areas need growth. It shows them which areas are out of balance, or what areas that they've kind of neglecting or they haven't realized. And the idea here is for each family member to participate and just to do this and see if it brings you closer together. And because really what you're doing, you're learning about each other. You're learning about yourself. You're trying to understand each other better. You're trying to, sort of encourage, where improvement needs to be made. And you're showing them that we're not, mom and dad aren't perfect. Hey, we also got to work on things. And so it's a great way to kind of bring a bit of relationship back and connection. And so this is what your teenager's wheel may look like. They've added in chores, education. There might be, they may want to add something like community service perhaps, or extracurricular activities, sort of whatever what suits each individual. And so let me just sort of run down how this kind of works. And so, you each draw your wheel, you rate each of your area of satisfaction. out of 10, then you choose an area to work on. And it's not necessarily the area with the lowest number. It's the area where you feel most ready that you want to work in that area. And then you all write down some kind of smart action. And I show my students that, these actions need to be specific, they need to be measurable, obviously attainable, they need to be rewarding, and they need to be time bound. And then you decide on how you're going to support yourself to remind yourself to actually follow through. That's the important point, because often we'll write down a goal, but we won't really write down, well, how am I going to remind myself to do this? How am I going to support myself? And then you kind of ask each family member how you want them to encourage you. That's kind of what it looks like. So let me give an example. So let's say Johnny wants to work on chores. And so his smart action will be to clean the bathroom every Friday at 4 o'clock. So it's very specific. It's got a day. It's got a time. It's achievable. The R for rewarding is what I want to focus on here. Johnny needs to find out, well, why do I want to do this? How does it benefit me by doing my chores? What's the why behind it? That's really important. And so you may come up with, well, it actually is going to improve my relationship with my mom because she keeps nagging me to do my chores. And I'm just going to feel better about myself. And so whatever motivates him for doing his chores, he needs to think about what makes that meaningful to him, particularly, when there's something you want to work on that's really hard, like if it's physical health and you've got to get out there and exercise, but it's really hard. And just think about your why behind it. Why do I want to do this? How's it going to benefit me or impact my life? And so you write this down. I would have a family notebook to write this down so that everyone has their goal in mind. And then what I would then do is every week just kind of have like a check-in, like a family 10-minute check-in. Hey, how's it going? How are you following through? And there'll be times when Johnny wouldn't have done his chores. And this is a great opportunity to learn about himself, not to come down hard on him and to say, yeah, I knew you wouldn't do it. And, what do you expect? This is a time to say, well, okay, how could you do better next week? What was getting in your way? What did you learn about yourself? How could you change your smart action? What didn't work? So you make it work next week. And so it's a great time for growth and for learning about themselves. And then what you would then do like 4 to 6 weeks later is just kind of do another wheel. All of you do another wheel and see how those numbers have changed. It's really encouraging, and all my students' numbers always change after coaching because it just does. And it's amazing to see how you work in one area. When one area improves, it has a ripple effect on all the other areas. So Johnny might see that, oh, chores, I went from a 3 to a 5. There's improvement. The important thing is you're seeing, even if it's a 3 to a 4, there's improvement. And that is what Mom and Dad are going to be focusing on, is the improvement, not because it wasn't perfect, not because it wasn't a 10, but the improvement. And that's really encouraging for families to see that, and for Mom and Dad to connect with teenagers that way. And so let's see what else was there. And this just helps them to learn about themselves, to be more responsible, ready for the real world, take on more ownership. This improves connection and relationships without a doubt. And so I've shown you about brainstorming. Brainstorming helps to build relationships. As you give your teens more space to share their ideas, they feel heard, they feel respected, and there's more trust and connection. And less resistance because they've had, they know that you are listening to their ideas. And the wheel will help with just generally family communication, understanding each other, learning about each other, and more for encouragement and support, because you see the small little milestones, the improvement, as opposed to getting something perfectly right. And so what I've shown you is more about how you can coach your teenagers instead of controlling them and managing them. And so these tools and techniques help parents become more of a coach or a mentor instead of parents who more focusing on controlling and managing. And these tools and just kind of the way you interact with your kids and ask them questions helps them to transition into adulthood, creates space for them to think, draws out their ideas, opens discussions, invites relationship, and communicates trust. And of course, the results that you get are more emotional intelligence, critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, and they're able to step into more leadership development. And so the last thing I want to talk to you about is I want to just tell you about my Go Program class because I'm really excited about it. It's an amazing online group coaching class. It's actually a personal development and life prep curriculum with 60 hours elective credits. It's 15 modules, so that's 15 weeks. And I use the Google Classroom where I post assignments every week so I can keep up with how the students are doing, and they check in with their classmates for encouragement and support. And a large part of this course is goal setting and taking action every week. And that's why I use the Google Classroom for these assignments, so that I can see how they're following through with their actions. Because they have an action every week, they have a goal that they're working towards. And so this is something that's really been very beneficial for students to be able to be accountable to classmates and to support one another. And also with their coaching buddies, I put them into groups of twos in the Zoom breakout sessions, and they get to coach one another. So they have their journals, their workbooks, where they have all the questions, and they ask each other questions. And this helps their communication skills and relationships. It's really very powerful. I use mind maps, I use videos, and so I want to try and keep it as interactive as possible. I also have parents Zoom meetings twice in the course where we chat about what's working. I get feedback. I explain how you can support your teenager, how you can communicate on a deeper level. And it's just been an amazing class, and so I wanted to share that with you today. Oh, you can email me as well, and I will send you a sample of the modules. And so here are my details. You can get hold of me on my website, mylifecoach360.com, or my email address, Mandy, spelled with an I at the end, frostzw@me.com. I really appreciate you watching this today. It's been, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate your time that you've come to watch this today. And if you'd like to ask me questions or get hold of me, please feel free to do that. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.